Hey YouTube, this is David Roman. I'm the author of the Eternal Horizon series, and welcome to my first video game related video. So, as some of you may know if you've been listening to my book, that I am a huge RPG fan and a full-time nerd, and RPGs, specifically Final Fantasy, were a huge influence on my work. Now, I decided to make this video because I see a lot of RPG lists, as I'm sure each and every one of you has, and I don't really agree with them. You know, I'm sure each and every one of you does not agree with them either, because we're our own individuals, we all have our own tastes. Now, I know what you're asking. Why the f you listen to me, right? But okay, let me explain. I mean, I am not a video game channel. I'm going to let you know right off the bat. But I am somewhat of an expert because I have played over 70 RPGs. I have beaten over 50 of them. I am 37 years old. I was born in 1981. I know that's not old, but for millennials, I'm the first generation of millennial, and I've been playing RPGs since Nintendo days. Final Fantasy I, the original Zelda. And I even have a Final Fantasy VIII tattoo right here. That's a CD symbol. This is why I'm wearing a tank top, not because I want to show off my muscles, but, I mean, they're here. Whatever. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna get started. Before we get started, we're gonna set some rules. I'm gonna set some rules. Now, these are only fantasy RPGs. That means medieval, you know, high fantasy stuff. There's, I'm not gonna count sci-fi RPGs like Knights of the Old Republic. I apologize, because if I count that, then we're gonna have to count Grand Theft Auto, because technically that's an RPG. Now, I'm also gonna take a lot of heat for this. I am not counting first-person RPGs like most of the Elder Scrolls series. And I'm sorry, Skyrim fans. I mean, if Skyrim were on this list, it would be definitely in top 5. And I know it can be played in third person, but I did not include it in this list. I'm sorry. If you want to include it on this list, please do so and let me know where you rank it. Now, let's go over some video games I haven't played. I haven't played the Twilight Princess. I haven't played the Breath of the Wild, which I hear is fantastic. I haven't played the Dark Souls, and I haven't played the Eternal Zero Dawn, whatever it's called. What's Eternal Horizon something. So we're gonna start this list now. The way I'm ranking games is by something called playability. My playability is how much I love the story, the gameplay, the mechanics, about how much time I spend on each of these games. So without further ado, here we go. And please subscribe, whatever. Here we go. Number 20 goes to a Super Nintendo title called Secret of Evermore. This was a fantastic game. It was based on the same mechanics as Secret of Mana, and it was one of the original co-op. Wasn't co-op. I think you could play as a dog. I don't remember, but it had a fantastic soundtrack by Jeremy Soule. It was one of his first works, I believe, and it had all these beautiful worlds. I remember it had the classical Greek world, it had the medieval world, it had the future world, and it was overall a fantastic game. And I chose this to be number 20. I chose it over Illusion of Gaia and over the original Lufia and Fort of the Doom, because I loved it, especially the soundtrack, like I said. And it definitely, you know, it was one of the first games who like, you had a supporting character, you know, fighting with you, kind of like God of War and Atreus, and a new God of War, Kratos and Atreus, whatever. So yeah, Secret of Evermore is number 20. Number 19 goes to the Super Mario RPG. Oh boy, I love this game. It's been 25 years since I played it, but I remember loving it. I remember you could play as Bowser. You could play as, you know, Toadstool, whatever, Peach. I don't think Wario was in it, but Luigi, everybody else, I don't know, was Luigi in it? I don't think that there has been a Mario RPG like this ever since. I tried playing Paper Mario and it wasn't the same. This was a fantastic game. I mean, it was turn-based, kind of like Final Fantasy. I think Squaresoft had a hand in it. But yeah, it was fantastic. Number 18 It's the original Breath of Fire. I know they made a bunch of spin-offs, and some of the spin-offs are even better visually, there are graphics, but the storyline and the originality. I like saying that because it sounds like Cartman. The originality goes to the original Breath of Fire. I mean, you play as a kid, you could turn into a dragon, and then your whole party can turn into a dragon. And then there were gods, and then there was like all these different creatures. It was this beautiful world, and I love Breath of Fire. I love the whole epic storyline. Capcom and Squaresoft joined forces together to release this for Super Nintendo. Yeah, you should definitely check it out. I think there's a remake somewhere. So yeah, Breath of Fire series, awesome. Very good. Number 17 goes to one of the best RPGs for the PlayStation 1 era, Wild Arms. Now, Wild Arms introduced combined Western and fantasy way before Firefly and any of the stories. There were airships, you could control a giant, and it had an amazing opening. The soundtrack, I still have the soundtrack on my iPod. Yes, I have an iPod, I'm old, whatever, leave me alone. So, yeah, Wild Arms definitely gets a spot, and I love that game. And I mean, I heard the series went downhill since, and I haven't played since Wild Arms 2, but I remember playing it, and it was not the same as the first one. Maybe because back then there weren't that many video games. That's why I could keep up. Right now I can't keep up. There's so many RPGs. Number 16 goes to Chrono Cross. Now, this was an amazing game. The only problem with this game is it had pretty big shoes to fill. It wasn't quite Chrono Trigger, and people were disappointed, but it was still an amazing, beautiful game. I think it was the best PlayStation 1 could do. I even played it for PlayStation 2, I believe, because PlayStation 2 could play PlayStation 1 games, but whatever. It had a beautiful soundtrack, and it was connected to the main game, the levels and the whole thing, but I felt like it was just trying too hard to be like the original, and it couldn't quite be like its own thing. But still, overall, it's number 16 on my list. You know, you should definitely check it out. You should definitely play it. Now, number 15 on my list goes to Final Fantasy 15. 15. It's a coincidence. Now, let me tell you something about Final Fantasy 15. Oh my god. I've been waiting for this game for almost 10 years. It came out when, in 2016? December 2016. And when I first heard it, it was a mid-2000s when I heard it was going to come out as 13 verses. And I've been waiting for this game for so long, you know, just because lately I only play Final Fantasies. I only play RPGs lately. I don't play that many games anymore because I'm old. You know, I have a full-time job. I draw, I write books, I paint. You should check out some of my artwork, by the way, especially for my Final Fantasy fan art. But let's skip this. Let's go back to Final Fantasy 15. Now, when I first started the game, it was amazing. And I watched the movie. I loved it. I loved the whole gang, the Gladio, Igni. What's the other kid's name? Pronto. I loved it. I loved the thing. And then I got to the left side of the map. And you know what happens? They created this huge, ginormous map. They were claiming, oh my god, it's bigger than the Witcher map. It's bigger than the Grand Theft Auto. And you can't even explore most of it. And then once you take the boat to go to the island, the game's pretty much over. You know, you go to the other continent, and the other continent has like, it just 1-2 levels, it becomes linear, and then you go back and forth in time, and it's just, they released an unfinished game. Because they rushed ahead, and they were trying to release this, and they just messed up, and that's why the DLCs failed, that's why they canceled the DLCs, because, and this is going to Squaresoft. You guys, I mean, this game, Final Fantasy, saved your company. All your firepower should go towards Final Fantasy. You know, they're over there busy making Tomb Raider. Right now they're making Marvel Avengers, which looks fantastic, by the way. But I'm just saying your whole entire concentration should go towards Final Fantasy. And this game was just unfinished. It was released to us I mean, I love the story. I love the story. You know, it always had me in tears at the end. You know, Auron's story. The bad guy's awesome. He's one of the coolest bad guys in the Final Fantasy series. But the game wasn't finished. The game wasn't finished, and I beat the whole thing. I did every mission except the stupid fishing missions. I didn't want to do those. And I beat the whole thing. I even got the flying car within 70 hours. And this is why it's number 15 on my list. And I'm sorry, Squaresoft. You guys can do better. And I'm not done grilling them. I will come back to them. Because I have a few things to say about Final Fantasy VII Remake coming up. Okay, let's move on. Number 14 is the only spin-off on this list, I believe. It's a Final Fantasy Crisis Core. Now, this game was amazing. I mean, just, you get to play as Zack Fair, you know, you get to see Aerith, the whole relationship, you know, you discover about, you know, you learn more about Sephiroth and his background, and just, you even see Cloud at one point, I believe. Yeah, you do. And it is just beautiful. It's like it's the best edition. It's the best spin-off Final Fantasy VII had. And I suggest everyone play it before the remake. Did they ever remake this game? But anyways, it was amazing. I loved it, especially even though you could play only as Zack. Just the battle system was amazing, and just the storyline itself. Yeah, it dramatizes everything that happened in Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, it was definitely better than Final Fantasy 15. I mean, it's sad, but it is what it is. Now, number 13. Number 13 is a game I have never seen on any RPG list, but it belongs on an RPG list because this game was original. Legacy of Kain, the very original one, the very first Blood Omen. Now, this game, which just came out in 1994, it was a few years after the whole Mortal Kombat controversy. You know, you could kill somebody. Oh my god, there's blood. Well, in this game, you can't just kill somebody. You kill them and you drink their blood. I mean, this game was amazing. It was fantastic. You could turn into a werewolf. You could turn into... You can turn into a mist, you can turn into a bat. There's this huge world to explore. You go back and forth, and in my opinion, it's the best Legacy of Kain entry. I mean, it is the best, because the other ones were pretty much linear. You know, you go front, you don't want to go back, it's level to level. I think in Soul River you could actually travel around too, I don't remember, but This is this was the only one that was considered, that I would consider an RPG, because it was top down, and it was like kind of like Zelda in a way, like a bloodier version of a Zelda, and it was very original. I loved it. I spent so much time on it. Now you could actually beat the game in about 10 hours, but I put in 20 plus hours into this game, and just the whole Norse god, the whole lore, the whole world of Kain, it just. Whoever made the game, I forgot who made the game, but you guys need to create an open world version of this. This would be so f***ing awesome. Pardon my French. Number 12 is Final Fantasy IX. Now, I know a lot of guys, especially guys born between 1985 and 1990, will swear to you that this is the best Final Fantasy ever because they were a certain age when it came out. But I tell you it's not. Because Final Fantasy went from actual high fantasy into more of a sci-fi world with 7 and then with 8. And then they decided, hey, you know, we're losing our young audience. Let's go back to this little crystal and little magical elves and the Muggles and whatnot. And then they came out with Final Fantasy IX. Now, it was amazing. You know, I loved it. It was a fantastic tale. You know, flying around, the airships and whatnot, the whole huge world. But I didn't care for it. I didn't care about Titus, and I already forgot the other characters' names. I remember the bad guy was Goofy, Cujo, or whatever. I didn't care about him. And the final boss, the Cujo's not even the final boss. It was Daff or something like that. It was just a lame, unoriginal. I mean, it wasn't lame and original. It's definitely better than Final Fantasy 15. Damn, I'm sorry. I'm just ranking that game so bad, ain't I? I'm sorry, Noctis. Forgive me. But yeah, Final Fantasy IX falls on number 12. Number 11 goes to the game I most recently beat, God of War. Now, I thought this was a remake, but it's not a remake. It's actually a sequel to the original trilogy. And what a sequel it is. I mean, this is definitely the best entry in the God of War series. Now, but it did not make my top 10 for a reason, for the same reason as Final Fantasy 15, because it's an unfinished game. Let me tell you why. Because there are a lot of gimmicks in it. There are spoilers in this video, I'm telling you right now. Because there are 3 worlds, 3 realms that you cannot access, but they're there. You know, they're Asgard and 2 more other realms. You can't access them, but they're there. The whole game sets you up, tells you about Thor and Odin, and they don't even show up. Thor shows up in like a dream at the end, and then you find out it's a dream, it's not a real thing. You know, the whole game, you only get to kill like 2 minor gods, Magni and Modi, and I've never even heard of them until this game. And then you get to kill Baldur. I mean, I've heard of Baldur, but that's the only real god you get to kill, you know. If I wanted to see Conor McGregor get beat up, I would watch UFC, okay? I wanted to see Thor. I wanted to see Odin, and none of that happened in this game. It was just setting you up for this crap, and next thing I know, you get the credits. I mean, this was fantastic. The combat was amazing, probably the best combat I've seen in an RPG. The world was amazing, but I just felt like there were a lot of gimmicks. I felt like it was unfinished, and I felt like as a customer, I was being lied to. I was being lied to by the story. You know, I was expecting to fight the Norse gods. I mean, in the original one, you fight Poseidon, you fight Hades, you fight Ares, all those guys, you know, and in here you only get Baldur? Come on, man. You can do better than that. Please come up with a sequel. I mean, they even canceled DLC out here. So whatever. Let's move on. Number 10 goes to Secret of Mana for Super Nintendo. I love this game. I spent so much time on this game. It just takes me back to my younger days, and it was probably one of the first games one of the first RPGs you could play with a friend. You can control, you know, the other character. You could switch between the characters. And in a world where all the other RPGs were turn-based, like Final Fantasy IV, this was more of an action/RPG. You know, you combine those two, and it was original in its own way. And plus the dragon, the way you get to fly with what's his name? Flammy? I think it was Flammy. I keep confusing those dragons with a never-ending story. I heard they remade it for PlayStation 4. I might get it eventually. It was an amazing story. It was an amazing series, an amazing entry, and that definitely deserves to be number 10. Number 9 goes to Final Fantasy X. I loved Final Fantasy X, especially the story. The story of Yuna, the story of Titus. Titus. Final Fantasy IX's character is not even Titus. I forgot his name. So anyways, is it Titus? Yeah, it's Titus. Titus and Yuna. I love their story. It was amazing. I keep saying amazing, ain't I? One of the best stories of the Final Fantasy series, and had a very traumatizing ending. And I hope they would have stuck with it, but then they came out with Final Fantasy X Part 2, and they kind of ruined it. But it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It showed you what PlayStation 2 could do. I love the worlds. I love the whole, especially the battle. You could tag team. You could switch between characters. The only thing I hated is it was linear. It wasn't an open world. And even when you got the airship, you couldn't even fly around, and you could just, like Mario, you could choose levels. You know, I guess PlayStation 2 didn't have that kind of power. Because between Final Fantasy IX and Final Fantasy 15, there was no open world Final Fantasies. It was just one loading level after another loading level. Even with Final Fantasy 12, which is not on this list, because it's not on this list. It's not that good, okay? I'm sorry, I didn't like 12. But 10 I loved because the memorable story, the world, the music especially, and you know, I even painted that several times. Here's the painting I did of Yuna and Sen. And I loved it. You know, they should have ended with this, but Squaresoft, you know, Square Enix, I'm sorry. It was Squaresoft back then, okay? Squaresoft would not let us have a sad ending. Number 8 is Final Fantasy VI, but back in my day, it was known as Final Fantasy III. It was an amazing story, especially the soundtrack. There were so many characters. You could have up to 20-something characters, I believe. I remember having 3 different parties, but I could just switch between them. And the airship, the whole world, it was fun. It was fun. It showed you what Final Fantasy could be in the future. And had very memorable characters. Tifa, Cecil, Cecil is a 4. Edgar and Sabin. And Cyan and just Shadow especially. You could actually save him at one point. And he's one of the characters that dies. And they had the Joker. The bad guy was awesome. Kefka. And I loved it. I loved they definitely need to remake that. Number 7 is Zelda: A Link to the Past. Oh my god, I love this game. I remember renting it out like 3 times just to beat it, because when I finally discovered there's a whole nother world, there's a dark realm and a light realm, I was like, oh my god, I'm not going to be able to beat this game. I loved it. It introduced me really, because I played the first one, I didn't really care about it. The second one was like, I didn't even play that because it's sideways. But the third one, which is Link to the Past, in my opinion, is one of the best Zeldas ever made. It was the first RPG that I played for Super Nintendo, really, because before I discovered Final Fantasies and Secret of Mana, the whole 9 yards. And it's a beautiful game. I would love to play it if they ever remade it. It introduced me to Hyrule, Ganon, and the whole lore of Zelda, the whole Zelda world. Okay, next in line is Final Fantasy IV. Now, the reason I rank this above Final Fantasy VI is because of the storyline. I beat this game more than I beat any other Final Fantasy. I beat it several times for Super Nintendo back when it was Final Fantasy II. I beat it the remake for DS, the 3D remake, and I beat it once again for PSP when it was released to the package. And I think it was also released for PlayStation 1. And the story is amazing. The whole love story between Cecil and Rosa and the triangle. Well, it's not really a triangle because she doesn't give a damn about Kain. But, you know, the Kain, the whole unrequited hero, the whole Golbez is related to Cecil. Damn, man, I'm really spoiling stuff for you, ain't I? It was an amazing story. I loved it, the soundtrack, and that's a remake I would love to see. Can you imagine playing this open world game for the Final Fantasy IV world? You know, if we're rebooting things, let's reboot this. Yes, this definitely belongs there. It's number 6 on my list. Now, number 5 on my list is Final Fantasy VIII. I love this story, and I might be a little biased, not because I have a tattoo. It's because I was 17 when I played this game. Just like Squall is in the game, just like Cypher is in the game. And I must have put about 90 hours into this game. I remember each and every one of my characters had like 9,999. I remember fighting the ultimate weapon, or Omega weapon, I don't know, one of the weapons. I remember fighting it for like 30 minutes straight. I remember that Squall actually had a strike that was more powerful than an Omnislash. It was a Lionheart, Renzakuken, whatever. And I love the game, but the reason I ranked it so high is because about 10 years after I beat the game, I've heard the Ultimacia Renoa theory. You know about the theory. You've heard about the theory. And when I heard about this theory, everything fell into place. I was like that guy at the end of The Usual Suspects when he drops the cup and he realizes the whole connections. Because I remember playing this game And I remember being confused about Ultimacia and her goal. I'm like, why is she doing this? Why is this whole time compression thing? And what are all those voices? And what are all those hints between Renoa? She's talking about, if I'm going to be a sorceress, will you protect me? And Squall's like, yeah, I'll be there for you. And then, the whole Renoa becoming the sorcerer, the castle flying over the place where they're supposed to meet. The entire opening, the confused opening, I guess the opening is Ultimacia just realizing she has to be somewhere. She's not sure where. And I know that the creator said that no, the theory holds no water, it's not real, but I don't believe it. This theory makes the game so much better. Trust me, if you play this game thinking that Ultimacia is Renoa from the future who lost her memory, coming back to a spot where she has to meet Squall. If you're thinking with that in mind, if you're playing that game with that in mind, this makes the game so much better. And I will play the remake, the remastered edition that just came out. I will play it again, and I will see if they drop more clues into this theory, conspiracy theory. And overall, I love this game. Almost made me cry at the end when I thought Squall died. And some theories say he did die. And this definitely needed a better remake. Not just a remastered edition, like a total remake. Number 4 on my list is the best Zelda. Like I told you, I've never played Twilight Princess. I've never played the new one, Breath of the Wild, and I hear it's amazing. I keep using that word, ain't I? Anyways, Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time, I love that game so much. I must have beat it like 3-4 times. The music, the Hyrule Valley especially, not the Hyrule Valley, the Gerudo Valley. And the Ganondorf, you get to learn about Ganondorf. He's like the Amazon. He was born, he's a male Amazon. And just, the switching, the going from adult to childhood, the whole world. The horse, and just I loved it. It was amazing. I keep saying amazing. I loved it. It was a great experience, in my opinion. I mean, Majora's Mask came out later on, and they used the same engine. And I mean, I could probably put it in the same category. It's the same game. It's like Grand Theft Auto 3 and San Andreas. It's pretty much the same game. Yeah, definitely. Ocarina of Time is the best Zelda that I played. Like I told you, I haven't played Breath of the Wild. Don't judge me. If you think it's better than this game, rank it ahead. Rank it number 1 if you want. But in my opinion, Zelda is number 4. Now, okay, we are to the last 3. And you know what it's going to be, right? You already know what it's going to be. Number 3 goes to Final Fantasy VII. I love this game. This game is the only reason I betrayed Nintendo. Because I love Nintendo. I was a diehard Super Nintendo fan. And when I found out that PlayStation is going to be the sole system that has Final Fantasy VII, I decided not to get an N64. And I got a PlayStation instead. Just to play this game. And I must have put over 100 hours into this game. And it's just it's sad. The whole Aerith dying thing. The whole open world. I've traveled through every corner. I had to find all the chocobos. Play the casinos, the races, and I had to fight all the ultimate weapons. And it was just a beautiful experience. It's such a beautiful game. They had all these spin-offs. And the remake is happening, and let me talk about the remake and rank on Squaresoft some more. Now, when they first announced the remake, I was like, hell yeah. But let me tell you something. I feel like they're lying to us. I feel like it's a gimmick. Why am I saying that? Because first of all, they're releasing it in parts, right? Instead of creating one huge game, like they did with 15, well, it wasn't a huge game because it wasn't fully complete. They're going to do episodes, right? So they can make money off of us. And I'm telling you, it's going to be episodic game. It's not going to be an open world game. It's going to be one episode game. The whole first disc is probably going to take part in Shinra, Midgar, and you leave Midgar, and I don't think it's gonna be open world. I think it's gonna be episodic. I think it's just like an Uncharted. I love the Uncharted series, but it's linear, right? You agree with me? It just, you pass a game and that's it. There's no point going back. I feel like this is what they're doing because they're so busy making Marvel's Avengers. They're busy making Tomb Raider. They don't have time for Final Fantasy. They probably have like 4 or 5 guys working on that, even though that's supposed to be their main thing. Sorry, Squaresoft. I'm still gonna spend money, okay? I just want you to treat us better. I want an open world, man. I want you to listen to what I got to say about the #1 game on this list before you come up with Final Fantasy 16. Number 2 is one of the best games for Super Nintendo. Probably the best Squaresoft game, Square Enix, apologize, ever made is Chrono Trigger. I mean, the characters are created by the Dragon Ball Z creator. The music is one of the best soundtracks in video games I ever heard. I still have the tracks on my iPod. Yes, I have an iPod. I'll repeat it. I have an iPod. I beat this game probably more than I beat any other game on this list because of its multiple endings. I had to see all the other endings, and that was before the emulators. That's was the early 90s. And I had to play it over and over and over again because this game had playability, and you always, like, every decision you make affects something. It's just like there's so many different outcomes. You can beat Lavos here, you can beat Lavos there, and just, I think he introduced New Game Plus, the first game to do that. And it was just a beautiful experience, and this is why I ranked it higher than any other Final Fantasy. And I don't think we need a remake for this because unless Akira Toriyama is involved in it, then definitely. Now I am going to get a lot of heat for this, for saying what's the #1 game. But like I told you, I've been playing games since the 80s. I've played all these Final Fantasies. I've played over 70 RPGs, and I am telling you. And you need to listen. I mean, you don't need to listen to me, but take my advice when I'm not bullshitting you. Now, I discovered this game by accident because it was January of 2017. Well, it wasn't an accident, but I really wanted to get Horizon Zero Dawn. And I beat Final Fantasy 15 after about a month and a half. I beat it, and I still wanted to play something. I still wanted to play an RPG. So I went to GameStop, and I wanted to get Horizon Zero Dawn, and then I found out it's not coming out till late February. And I'm like, man, I need to find something like now. And I found this game because I kept hearing people talking about it. Everyone kept talking about it. Here and there, kept talking about it. So I was like, what, let me see what the hell they're talking about. I'll probably beat it in a month or so, and then I'll get Horizon Zero Dawn. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And let me tell you something. The hype is real. The Witcher 3 is the best RPG ever made. In my opinion, it's probably the best video game I ever played. It's up there with Super Metroid. It's up there with any other game you can think of. Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. It is amazing. The hype is real. I am telling you. I've put in over 200 hours into this game. 7 months of my life was dedicated. I was 35 years old. I didn't care about anything else. I didn't care about women. I didn't care about my job at the moment. I mean, I work full time still. I would watch YouTube videos of the first 2 games. I've never played them, and even if I did, they would not be on this list because they can't even come close to how awesome this game is. Where do I start? I mean, first of all, the story. There's so much lore in here, and it doesn't explain anything to you. It just gives it to you, and you learn yourself. It doesn't try to preach to you. It doesn't try to teach you any morals, because you could choose. There's so many multiple choices. There's 36 different endings. There are like love interests for Gerald that you can choose. you can choose to be with this girl or that girl, and if you play them both, you end up all alone. And it just, there are MMA fights, there's this addictive card game, and the story itself, I have all 8 books of the Witcher series because I really wanted to know more. And I know the author hates the video games, the creators, they have beef going on, but because of them, I got introduced to this world. And thank you, Mr. Sapkowski, for creating this. I just love this so much. I was just thinking The Witcher 24/7. For 7 months, I just kept playing. I downloaded both the DLCs, and the second DLC is like 50 hours. It's like a whole different game. And I mean, I know a lot of criticism comes because of the combat. Now, the combat is great, it's fantastic. It's not as good as the combat in God of War, but God of War, I saw that they took a lot of influence from The Witcher because God of War came 2 years afterwards. That's the only criticism I have. Oh, the combat, but like I said, the game is 2015. It's already been 4 years. But still, this game is a Game of Thrones of video games. Now, I don't care what you think about the ending of the Game of Thrones. I feel like it was rushed too. But the Game of Thrones is the best show ever made. And the same thing I feel about The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 took video game RPGs to a whole nother level. It raised the bar way, way, way high. Squaresoft needs to play this game. Every person at Squaresoft needs to play this game to see. I mean, I thought the Japanese were the best video game makers. No, apparently people in Poland are. This game is just... I wanted to learn everything, and I still haven't discovered everything. Like I said, 200 hours into this game, and I'm still not done. It was just beautiful, and every time I played it, I discovered more and more. I love the characters, I love the story, I love the music. Oh my god, I love the music. And like I'm telling you, I'm not getting paid by these guys at all. I'm not promoting The Witcher. I'm just telling you. I mean, I am in a way promoting it by saying it's the best game, but it's the best RPG I ever played. And this is coming from a guy who's been playing RPGs almost his entire life, 70 RPGs. And I love this game. So far, it's the best RPG. Nothing can top this. If you think anything is better than this game, I think Skyrim, I don't want to hear Skyrim. I played Skyrim, and it's nowhere near The Witcher. I mean, it's an amazing game. Damn, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, ain't I? But it's not quite The Witcher because Dovahkiin is like I said, you're being told to. He doesn't even talk. It's first person, so it doesn't belong on my list. I mean, yeah, you can play as third person, but the story is being told to you. You're not seeing the story, You play when you play as Dovahkiin. In Witcher, instead, you do decide where the story goes with Geralt's actions. Geralt or Gerald? I call it either way. It's like a GIF and GIF thing. So, just The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3, I mean, the hype is real. I mean, so many people can be wrong, and I thought there were. I didn't think anything can be better than Final Fantasy. And this game was out for 2 years before I discovered it. And the sad thing is, I didn't know. But the good thing is, I found out, and I can't wait to play anything that even comes close to this. A lot of pressure is on these guys with the Cyberpunk, and I'm definitely gonna play that. But it's first person, it's a shooter. It's not quite gonna be the same. So far in the RPG land, Witcher holds the crown. Oh yeah, by the way, this is my statue collection. I have the Witcher statue collection, and I love it. I love The Witcher. And, like I said, it's sad for me to say this, but it's better than Final Fantasy. And let me know what you think. Let me know how much you hated my list. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know. If you disagree with me, cuss me out. Please do. Don't dislike my video. Like it. Give it a thumbs up. But please do subscribe. I'm going to have more of these video game related videos soon. The main purpose of my channel is to tell you my books, read my books, but There's only 3 books that I've written so far, so that's gonna be over with quick. So I'm gonna keep posting videos on video games, sci-fi movies probably, so please subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week.